Dr. Homebrew is brought to you by 5 Star Chemicals, providing safety and cleaning supplies for brewing, distilling, and winemaking at 5starchemicals.com.
Doctor, look!
Stand aside, nurse. I'm Dr. Homebrew.
Stand clear.
All right, welcome back once again, everybody. It's Dr. Homebrew. Back from the NHC in the Hop Grenade, although it's not open yet. This is our, as Brian put it, our beta test. And you can tell Brian's a nerd because he used the word beta test.
That was Lee, actually.
That was Lee. Well, you guys sound the same.
Now you're going to press
I got you, Lee? What's going on here?
No Lee.
No me.
There he is. Or?
We got you?
Now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, now I can hear
Hi,
myself.
Lee.
Welcome to the show, Lee.
We're going to give you a mic.
Mike. That's my cousin. I already have a mic.
How you guys doing? Haven't seen you in a long time.
It's been ages.
It's
Doing
been
great.
good.
Yes.
You
Has it?
both look much more handsome than I remember.
Absence makes the heart go fonder, JP. I'm staying away from you, though.
What kind
I
of...
think you should. I'm a dangerous man today.
Yeah, I'll bet.
We're not in Martinez anymore.
We're not in Martinez anymore. We are in Concord. How do you think the bar looks? Pretty good, huh?
This is
Yeah.
pretty sweet, yeah.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Concord's a much different place, too. Yeah. You might actually get arrested for assault here.
There's a lot more people out.
A lot more people.
Festivals
Oh,
going
yeah.
on.
There's a big party on out there.
Everyone has a home. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's jump right into the show. Before we get started, though, I do want to thank our fabulous sponsor, 5 Star. You can get everything you need to clean and sanitize your home brewing equipment at 5starchemicals.com. You can also look at your local homebrew shop. If they don't carry 5 Star Chemicals, ask for them. They make the PBW, they do the Star San, and it's really the only place that you can go to get effective cleaning supplies. Clean first, then sanitize. They're very big on doing that kind of thing. There's no really just one kind of cleaner that will do everything for you. It is clean first, then sanitize. Otherwise, you never know what you're going to get. And I've talked to a lot of home brewers over the years, and you don't really know that. That's really not information that's pushed around a lot, especially in some of the older home brewing books. So anyway, check them out, 5starchemicals.com. Of course, we have Brian and Lee, our master BJCP judges.
Hello.
And really what Dr. Homebrew is, in case, of course, you still don't know, it's more like an interactive BJCP score sheet. You don't just listen to us slurp the beer and go, oh, yeah, that's pretty good, and that's it. We actually talk to the brewer. So you send us your beer, then we get you on Skype, and you talk to us, and you can ask questions of these guys, too, which I think is it's a much better way to get feedback. You can only infer so much by people's writing from a month ago. If they have, 12 beers and you're in 8 of the 12th beer, you're not going to get that great of feedback. But here on Dr. Homebrew, you are our sole focus. And I like that.
Except that we're just sitting here staring at JP.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Are you complaining?
He likes it. No, are you?
Would you like to?
Wait,
who
yes,
else
I'm
would you like to stare at?
Yeah.
No, that's too bad.
Well, actually, never mind. This place has a lot more windows than the other place.
That's true.
That festival out there looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah,
you got a band playing, there's food, there's people everywhere.
You're going to get some kettle corn and
That's right.
We're really distracted. We actually just went and wandered the festival. We didn't really judge these beers.
We're just making.
So we are going to just
mailing this in.
Like, just taste the beer and say, this is good beer.
Yeah.
That's what this show will be about.
Let's go get a hot dog. Let's get a foot long, if you'll pardon a turn of the phrase. Well, I tell you what, boys, this is now the studio that Dr. Homebrew built. I'm just going to say it right now. We are the I don't know, man, whatever, the driving force. It's hard to get back in the swing of things, man, hosting a show. I haven't done it in a while.
Yeah, well, you'll remember. We'll make sure you remember.
I'll figure it out. I appreciate that.
We'll challenge you and make you rise to the challenge. There you go.
What beers are we doing today?
A Maibock.
Fellas?
We have a Maibock and a
Helles.
Oh.
It's an early Oktoberfest today.
Yeah, little European
beers.
lager show, huh?
Yeah, we like the German beers. They're pretty good sometimes. Germany's doing very well in the World Cup as well.
The World Cup. That's right.
Yeah.
Sunday, right? I think Sunday's the final. And then no more really heavy international soccer play
what
for
are people
going to
do at work?
Yeah. Sunday off in July somewhere. Yeah.
I'm stoked about it. Who you guys rooting for? Argentina or
Germany, dude.
Yeah, I got to go Germany, I think.
I don't know. I think it'd be fun to have another major international bank collapse. Why not get behind Argentina?
If the Argentinians started making, even more better beer than the Germans, then I could root for them too.
So it's all about beer for you. Who makes the best beer? I
studied German. I speak German. I do a bad German accent.
Hey, so do I. That's weird.
Can you do a good German accent since you studied it?
Yeah. Yeah. I can do... Yeah.
He can't because he just tried and he realized he couldn't. But kudos to you, Brian, for trying.
I can do an Austrian accent when I speak German.
Tell you what, let's take a break. Let's get out of this weird intro. And then we're going to have Jeff on the line. Now, he brewed the Maibock. And we're going to talk to him about doing that. I don't think I've ever really done a Maibock. So I'm kind of curious to know how we figured it all out.
Yeah, lagers are tough and tricky to do.
They really are, man. I don't play around with those too much. I think it's above my pay grade. Anyway, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll be talking to Jeff and drinking on his Maibock. Back after this.
Hey, Wooly, I'm beat. Can we find a nice tree to just hang out in for a while?
You're beat. I've been swinging through this forest for 50 years, ever since we first escaped from the circus. I know, but there's got to be more to life than exploring this creek and trying to populate the valley by copulating with loose, hairy girls. Marquis, stop. Look!
What is that?
It looks like a man-made treehouse.
With fresh food.
And craft beer.
Welcome to the Creek Monkey Tap House, boys. Grab a seat. Creek Monkeys drink free.
Awesome!
The Creek Monkey Tap House in Martinez, California takes their mission of fresh food and beer seriously. They only serve locally raised beef and chicken, as well as local sustainable produce. It's better for you and the planet, and it just tastes better. The beer and wine at Creek Monkey Tap House are chosen with the same care for the highest quality and rotate frequently to make each visit an adventure. Swing on into the Creek Monkey Tap House and enjoy a new legend of amazing food, beer, and wine. The Creek Monkey Tap House, online at creekmonkey.com.
Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing. And like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz, More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of The Buzz, the forum, the Learning Center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making.
Hello, fellow BNers. This is Sully from the 21st Amendment Brewery located in San Francisco, just 2 blocks from Giants Park. Before Nico and I opened the 21A and before I was a professional brewer, I homebrewed on my small 4-burner apartment stove in a back house in Santa Monica, California, making my extract brews before graduating to the daunting idea of all-grain brewing. Homebrew books and information was hard to come by back then. The internet hadn't been invented yet, along with other things we take for granted today, like electricity and potable water. One thing I wish I had back then when I was learning was a radio show that could teach me the ins and outs of brewing and answer questions that I had about homebrewing, a resource for making great craft beer. The 21st Amendment Brewery is excited to be a proud sponsor of Dr. Homebrew, a great show that teaches you what you need to know about making incredible beer. Good stuff. Listen up, you might learn something. I certainly did. And thanks for your support. Tasty Crack Games.
This is a public service announcement.
Hey, dude, I think there's... What's wrong? You don't look so good. There's something wrong with your beer. It's making everyone sick.
Don't let your beer make your loved ones ill. Proper cleaning and sanitation is the key to avoiding puke on your shoes.
But I used an all-in-one.
Cleaning and sanitizing cannot be done in a one-step process. No cleaner can sanitize, and no sanitizer can clean. The amazing chemists at 5-Star Chemicals have your solution. Clean with BBW and sanitize with Star San.
Fantastic!
Your friends and loved ones will thank you. 5-Star products are available at fine homebrew shops near you and online. Put your best beer forward with 5-Star Chemicals, your one stop for the cleanest 2-step solution.
Dr. Homebrew, please report to the ER for code blue. Dr. Homebrew to the ER, please. Oh, and your tea time has been moved to 2:30.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We're going to get Jeff on the line here. Jeff has brewed this Maibock. You guys want to fill us in a little bit on the Maibock style?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Brian, you got the friendly German accent. Why don't you go on that?
I'll leave the German accent out, but
do it in your phony American accent.
Yeah, the Maibock is it's a lager, and it's kind of a fairly pale, strong lager beer. It's designed to walk a fine line between blandness and too much color. It's a fairly recent development, is what the style guidelines say about it, and the members of the Bock family. It's typically associated. Mai, of course, is the German word for May, and it's associated with the springtime and the month of May. So, all winter to lager this nice beer in the cave in your backyard, and you bring it out in May, and everybody gets drunk and happy.
Yeah, exactly.
They're
that. Usually fairly pale, pretty Pils malt focused, maybe a little bit of toasty character in it. If they add some in, that's not necessary.
Just like Germans, fairly pale.
Fairly pale, a little bit toasty, a little bit of spicy hop character, not that much.
Yeah.
Not very bitter.
But kind of bitter.
Right. Slightly alcoholic.
Yeah, also known as the Helles Bock. So, although it doesn't taste, much like a Helles, if you drink one, those are 5%ers. These can be upwards of 6.5% to 7.5% roughly. So they're strong.
Jeff, are you on the line with us, buddy?
Yeah, I am.
Nice. Oh man, Skype sounded good today.
Yeah.
Hey, that sounded real good. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing great.
Good. Thanks for sending in beer, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So tell us a little bit about your brewing setup. Are you all grain or are you extract?
Yeah, all grain.
Nice.
I've been brewing for 8 or 9 years now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think I did 3 batches of extract.
And you just went right to all grain?
Yeah. I was a part-time college student at the time, so I had plenty of time to mess around with stuff.
Usually when you're part-time college, it means you're working the other part-time, but not for you. You're brewing, huh?
At that point I was not working that much. It was nice. I decided college should take 5 years instead of 4.
Well, why not? Who cares? This is still America. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
Have you ever brewed a Maibock before?
No. This is my 3rd lager, but this is my first time doing Maibock.
Okay, third lager. Okay, good. I think I maybe have done 2. So you're one up on me, dude. All right, guys, let's jump right into this thing. Brian, why don't you kick us off?
Well, in the nose, the first whiff of it, you do get some fairly bold maltiness in there. It had a little bit of a kind of a graham cracker note in there that I was looking. That it makes it. You can tell there's some German ingredients in here, and a little bit of a spicy note in there. It came across a bit solventy to me. It has kind of a bit of a lacquer like aroma in there with the other aromas. So there's the typical thing you would expect of a lager is that it would not have many esters, and this beer did not. It didn't have the typical fruity esters that you get in an ale, like a pale ale or what have you. But it does have this kind of interesting aroma to it. Along with the low spicy hop note, it has this kind of orange-like aroma to it, kind of like the with that the stuff you use to remove stickers, the Goo Gone thing. Anyway, but I mean, sometimes some people like the smell of that stuff. Maybe it's designed to be pleasant smelling. I don't know why stuff that removes stickers smells like oranges, but
that's interesting. I've never noticed that before.
It's better than having it smell like dirty feet.
Socks or something. Yeah. The appearance, it's kind of an orangey goldish color, and it had a bit of haze in there. Pretty good, substantial, off-white head that stuck around pretty nicely in there. In the flavor, the maltiness there's kind of some bread-like tendencies in there, but it was a little obscured by this. I got the orangey, citrusy flavors in there. It's like kind of orange zest and pineapple, and it presents itself with a bit of a kind of a tart edge to it. It's not sour, I wouldn't say, but it is a little biting and acidic. The beer is definitely balanced to the malt. It's very low hop bitterness. Only a faint spicy hop flavor in there. Finish is kind of medium dry, and there's just a little funkiness in the flavor.
You're right. It's not sour, and that was the first thing that I got too. Was a sourness, but it's not. It does have that kind of bitterness at the end that maybe moves it from sour to more tart.
You don't feel it melting the enamel on your teeth. It's not like one of those big Belgian sours or anything like that. But there's some tartness. You measured the acidity on this, and when you buy us that fancy Dr. Homebrew kit that you've been promising, we'll have pH meters and all that at our disposal, and finishing hydrometers.
Anything I say on heroin is not held account. I don't know.
You've been on heroin this whole time?
Yes.
Judging by the state of your elbow sides, we got a lot we can hold you to.
I don't even know what.
Yeah, we got a lot we can hold you to. You've said it all.
Oh.
That's true.
No problem. Yeah.
Talking about my track marks.
Yeah. You're pretty track freak there. Maybe it's all between your toes. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, onward
and downward.
Super
Brian's focus.
About the beer.
About
the topic of the show. The mouthfeel had a little bit of a biting quality to it as well. A little bit of heat, possibly from the solventy. Hot alcohols in there in the throat. It wasn't very creamy. The carbonation is kind of medium high, pretty peppy. It might also be contributing to the bite a little bit, but the beer had a few of the elements I was looking for in a Maibock, and granted, it's really hard to do a good clean lager, but it's covered up by a number of significant defects in this. The solvent and the fruitiness could be from too high of a fermentation temperature, but I mean, we'll get into your recipe and talk about that later. It probably, if you're doing a lager, you would know to ferment it cooler, so I can't say 100% certainty that it was too high, but I would suspect also some bacterial and or wild yeast contamination in the beer, and you definitely want to watch at all stages past cooling the beer, your sanitation, your cleanliness, use all your 5-star stuff. With a lager this big as well, you especially need to take care of your yeast and give it a big, healthy, vigorous pitch of yeast, preferably from a starter at high Kreuzen, ready to go. Kreuzen.
There you go.
And
terrible German accent.
I gave the beer an 18, and it's drinkable, and it could use some improvement, but with just improved sanitation and possibly also lagering techniques, because it did lack a little of the clarity that you would expect in a well lagered beer. You could clean up some of that stuff. But
that was bottle condition, right, Jeff?
No, it wasn't. It was bottled off a keg.
Okay. All right.
And I mean, from what you're saying, are you guys have you opened both bottles?
Just one.
We did not. The other bottle's sitting right over there.
We should crack that open.
If you don't mind giving that a try, because I'm drinking the same beer right now, we're not drinking the same beer right now.
Okay. Could be a bottle issue. Yeah,
that's a good. I like that that description.
Yeah,
we're drinking the same beer, but we're not drinking the same beer.
Right. So to sort of follow up a bit on Brian's notes and the style, these beers are mostly supposed to be about big Pils malt, maybe a little bit of Munich hint, a little bit of spicy hops, maybe clean ferment, nice and creamy, pours a big rich head, clean alcohol. And generally, I mean, I agree with most of what Brian said. I got a lot of that tangerine ester, orange ester sort of thing. a bit of a perfumey, almost phenolic character. For me, I was sort of putting those together, a little bit of a solventy note and a few other things floating around. I thought maybe there was some sort of a contamination in there, maybe a wild yeast or something.
It is different. It's not as tart, but there is still, and I'm getting more of the orange peel, maybe even the pith of the orange, that white part, out of the second bottle.
Pithy orange, yeah. I can sort of see that. And it's still pretty tart.
Yeah, but not as tart as the first bottle, so maybe it is a bottle thing.
Maybe.
I don't
know.
It still has a fairly sharp tartness to it a little bit, and on the edge there, it looks clearer though a little bit.
It tastes pretty much the same to me.
But it tastes fairly close to the same.
It's a little creamier because, well, it's a little creamier, richer. It's probably because it hasn't been sitting open for 40 minutes. But I don't know if there's bottle variation. I think we got two funky ones.
Yeah,
which is too bad. I mean, I like the malt flavors in here; they're good, and the balance seems pretty good with the hop. It's the hop's pretty much just supporting it. It's not there. I think that was probably pretty nice. But
what's the method for bottling off the keg? By the way,
I do the bottle stopper with the tube.
Yeah, the typical.
That seems to work just fine.
If any of that plastic stuff gets old, it's really good to change that out every so often and keep it sanitized and clean.
Yeah, it'd also be nice if JP would have recorded this show 2 months ago when I sent him the beer.
Well, they were moving studios.
Yeah, dude. Sorry, we just with the studio move and all that kind of stuff. It just kind of ate up all our stuff.
Did you have this in your garage, JP?
I did. I had it in my garage, in the trunk of my car in my garage. So it was it was
under your solar flare collector.
It was in the fridge. Maybe not right when I got it. So maybe some of that is my fault. I'll take the heat for you, Jeff. Don't worry about it. I'll take some shit for you. But yeah. Sorry, about the move. It just stuff couldn't be helped. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, it's fine.
Or you just give me shit.
Yeah, well, that too.
Good. I love it.
So you're on your side. You're not getting any of that the bright the peppy oranginess in there.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I'm drinking the beer right now, and it does have a little bit of a fruity ester to it, but it's got a fair amount of Munich in it.
Okay.
And I know you can get some fruitiness from that at high amounts, and that's kind of one of the questions I was hoping to get answered, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah, well, in theory, yeah, you're right. I mean, Munich will often give a little bit of usually kind of a cherry flavor is what you get from that. And a little bit of that would be appropriate here from the malt.
Well, that's a good question, Jeff. Why don't you start by giving us your recipe?
Yeah, so it was a 10-gallon batch, and it was 17 pounds of German Pils, 6 pounds of German Munich, and then 8 ounces of Melanoidin and 8 ounces of Cara Munich for the malt. And then on the hops, it was a mix of Herzbrucker and Mittelfrüh with 2 ounces at 60 minutes, 2 ounces at 20 minutes, 2 ounces at 10 minutes, and 2 ounces at flame out.
That's a lot of hops for a beer, which is interesting because it doesn't.
A lot of hops, yeah.
It doesn't come through like that.
Yeah.
So what do you think about his Munich edition? Is it too much? 6 pounds?
6 pounds
in a 10-gallon batch?
Out of 7, that's about 25%, 30%.
It's really on the darker end for the style.
It's on the darker end. I don't think it's out of style. It is definitely on the darker end. That's probably okay. I don't know if somebody handed it to me and said, "What is this?" I might guess more traditional Bock than a Maibock. But yeah, it's probably not too bad for that. If it were me, I would probably drop the Cara Munich. Keep the recipe as simple as possible. But yeah,
what would the Cara Munich do for this that the Munich wouldn't?
It would probably give it some more of that estery flavor, a little more residual sweetness. For me, I would focus on just a very simple malt bill, Pils malt. You could go straight 100% Pils malt if you want for this and get the pale side. But if you like the darker one, throw in some Munich malt like that, and you should be able to get there.
But 6 pounds isn't an egregious amount because you were saying that you could kick out some cherry flavors, and that's kind of what he was asking.
Yeah.
Does some of those esters come from his large charge of Munich? You would.
That would cover the sort of a cherry flavor, which there's a little bit here. It wouldn't really, I think, explain this sort of big orange tangerine kind of.
It might be accenting it a little bit, but yeah, I mean it's a pretty Munich edition if it's regular kind of Munich and not light Munich, but you can get away with that. It's
the lighter of the.
It is the lighter. Okay,
German Munichs that I've been able to find.
Yeah, then that probably helps there. The darker one might be too much.
What would be the kind of high end you would want on his recipe for the Munich?
I wouldn't go much higher than this. I mean, by the color, I was holding the color card up to it. You could maybe go a little more, but you get too much darker in this, no one's going to recognize this as a Maibock. Might be a great beer.
Yeah.
But people are probably going to start calling it a light Doppelbock or a traditional Bock.
So in other words, his recipe's fine. Just drop the Carry Munich, and then that's...
In my opinion, that's what I would do. But, that said, I didn't necessarily pick any of it up in the flavor, so maybe it's just in there and you don't notice.
What was your mash regimen? Did you do any decoction or anything like that?
No, it was just 150 for an hour.
Mm-hmm. You might raise it up a little bit for this style. They like to be a little bit rich in the finish.
Yeah, this does finish kind of semi-dry, and I think a little sweetness would benefit it. In ways, though, as I'm drinking this second pour of the beer, I'm kind of enjoying it as it is. In ways, it doesn't.
Right, it's not.
It's like for what it is. It's kind of like that the orange shush. It has that kind of interesting funky without the spices that they use in there, or the tea, whatever. But yeah.
So, do you think that this kind of funkiness came from his bottling? I mean,
it could have happened in bottling, and it could have.
If he's drinking the same keg, right? It's kind of
It could have been in the beer from the start. Everything I have gets stored cold from the time it's done. From the time it's in a keg, it stays cold. So
once it's out in the world,
in there and just warming it up was enough to mess with it.
Right? Yeah, it's possible. If there's anything in there, go a lot faster during the shipping and shaking. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. It seems like a good beer otherwise, but for me, it's got a pretty heavy load of some bad stuff.
Yeah, that's too bad.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
You have any questions for the guys, Jeff?
No, I mean, it's kind of, like I said, we're drinking different beers, so.
Yeah.
Well, give us your address over the air right now, and then we'll just drive to where you are.
Yeah.
And then, maybe half the listening audience will join us, and we'll just have a big block party. It'll be great.
It sounds good. I've got a few beers on tap, so.
All right.
Or Phillips and Growlers and meet us down here,
Right. Yeah, come on down. We'll see you in 4 days.
With a chilled cooler.
All right, Jeff. Well, if that's it, man, we're going to let you split.
All right. Yeah. Great. Thanks so much,
Thank
guys.
you for sharing.
Right.
Appreciate the beer.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks.
Yep.
All right, take it easy. Bye. Seems like a nice guy.
Yeah.
And he's been brewing for a long time. And
I mean, he could be a serial killer.
Learning lagers, so I think it takes more than just a few batches, learning the ropes there, and
it really does
dialing that in, because it's a different animal. Ales, you get in that routine. You do a dozen batches. You can do ales all day in your sleep.
Yeah,
but
lagers are tough, man. I brewed one with some friends. Did this Mexican lager. It was a clone of a Scab beer, and I tell you, it has this bizarre smoky phenol. Clove, like a clove smoke phenol thing, but I used the Mexican lager yeast, and I grew up the batch a couple of times. I grew up the starter in a friggin' carboy when there was a lot of yeast, and crystal clear, but it just has this weird note that nobody else picks up. None of the other people who got the batch, we did 40 gallons, nobody else can taste it.
And I'm going, I can't drink it. Better palate than they do.
I think so. I don't know, but I can't drink it. I should have brought it. That's what I should have done. I just can't do it.
Bring us some of your good stuff too.
I don't have any right now. Well, hey, you guys are local. I live like a mile away, dude. We'll come. I got some cider on tap. It'd be great.
All right.
We just put some banana flavoring in that beer and a little yeast, and we can just call it a Weizen, right?
Right. Or you just enter it as a Rauch beer in a contest.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, wait a minute. Too soon.
Oh.
You know what? Lee's gone. It's only Brian and I.
Okay.
I dumped Lee.
Let's go.
Excuse me. Let's take a break. We're going to come back, and we have Ted on the line, and we'll talk about Ted's beer. Let me get this thing up here and running. All right. It's Dr. Homebrew, everyone. Back after this.
That's it. I've had it. I am never
never putting hops in my beer again.
What? Why?
It's just too ridiculous. Insane prices, stupid contracts, high shipping costs, crappy selection.
Dude, you need Nico Brew.
Nico Brew will rock your f***ing face right the f*** off your f***ing skull. $5 shipping to all 50 states. Plus fantastic international rates get you low prices on Nico Brew's great selection of hops and more. Whether you're a home brewer, a pro brewer, or a homebrew shop owner, Nico Brew can get you the hops you need in increments big and small. Single orders, spot buys, or full contracts. And there's only one place to join the uber special secret elite bare bones club where you'll get the best deals anywhere.
Holy shit!
NicoBrew.com. NIKOBREW. Nico Brew, your bare bones buddy in the brewing business.
Are you a member of the American Homebrewers Association? Well, you should be. Members of the AHA can focus on brewing beer, and the AHA takes care of the rest. The American Homebrewers Association advocates on behalf of homebrewers like you to legalize the hobby in all 50 states and make sure that beer laws make sense. Plus, there are many great benefits that come with your AHA membership, like AHA member deals that give you awesome deals at bars, restaurants, breweries, and more. Zymergy Magazine and Zymergy for tons of articles, how-tos, easy-to-follow recipes, and news about the hobby you love, and access to the members-only content on homebrewersassociation.org. But the AHA can't do it without your support. Join today so the American Homebrewers Association can keep fighting for your homebrewing rights. Visit homebrewersassociation.org or join now from the homepage of the Brewing Network website. Relax. Don't worry. It's the American Homebrewers Association. As a brewer, you already don't settle for second best. You want great tasting beer and you want great equipment to make it with. So don't settle for the second best grain mill. You want a Monster Mill from Monster Brewing Hardware. Monster Mills are tough, come in 2 and 3 roller designs, and are made right here in the USA from superior materials for longer lasting performance. Pick the mill that's right for you at monsterbrewinghardware.com and take Bevo's advice.
Trust me, it's always better to have a bigger tool than you think you need.
Monster Mills have the best warranty in the business. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Visit monsterbrewinghardware.com now and check out all the mills and mill accessories. Don't settle for second best. Get a Monster Mill from Monster Brewing Hardware. Have you ever dreamed of attending the World Brewing Academy? This year, thanks to Lallemand and Danstar, one lucky brewer will make that dream a reality for free. Lallemand and Danstar invite you to enter the Beer School 2015 contest. One lucky grand prize winner will receive fully paid tuition to the 2015 World Brewing Academy web-based concise course in brewing technology worth almost $4,000. From now until December 13th, 2014, every Danstar yeast packet you use is your ticket to enter. Visit danstaryeast.com for the details and to print your official entry form. There's no limit on the number of times you can enter, so get brewing with Danstar and get your entries in to the Danstar 2015 Beer School Contest. Whether you want to build your home brewing skills or build a career as a professional brewer, this course will change the way you think of beer and brewing. Enter at danstaryeast.com and get the dry yeast advantage with Danstar and Lallemand Premium Brewing Yeast, and enter to win. Ma'am, I'll need to take your top off for this examination.
Oh, doctor.
All right, everyone. It's Dr. Homebrew. Thanks for hanging in with us. We will have Ted on the phone in a second to talk about his Helles, right? Munich Helles?
Right.
Brian, why don't you kick us down some knowledge on some Munich Helles?
We've got in the immortal words of Jamil Zanishev.
Jesus.
Munich Helles is a clean, pale gold German lager with a bready malt character that starts in the aroma and lasts all the way through the finish. While there might be a slightly sweet, grainy character present, this is not a sweet beer.
Oh.
The beer should be well attenuated. Any sweetness should be balanced by just enough hop bitterness to keep it in check.
I don't believe Jamil said any of those things because he didn't talk about his scrot.
Yeah, maybe John wrote that part. I don't know.
I think John wrote that.
It's pretty elegant though. They have pretty good descriptions in brewing classic styles.
Yeah. Look at that dog-eared thing, man.
That's a good job of dialing stuff in. Yeah,
that's a well-worn book, man.
Well, I like to see what recipes your entrants that you send the beers into the shows are using. So, flip it open.
I knew, like, when I knew that they were working on this book, I'm like, that's going to change a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of similar beers being entered, similar recipes.
That was so true. I swear, the year that thing came out, you could sit at a flight of judging around here. I live in the area. It's like, these all taste the same.
There's two Jamil beers. Here's this beer. He did a great thing for, he and John, they did a great thing for educating people about the breadth of styles that are out there. And they're award-winning recipes. So you can make really good beer with this book.
Yeah, for sure.
If you know what you're doing.
We got Ted on the line. Ted, you with us?
I am here.
All right. How you doing, man?
Doing well.
Perfect. Thanks for hanging in with us.
Hey, no problem.
So tell me a little bit about your home brewing background, man. How long you been brewing?
I started in 2012. Started extract brewing for pretty much about a year and dove into all grain after piecing up my equipment in May of last year and did my first all grain batch as a decoction mash.
Wow.
Cool.
Look at you jumping right in. See, most people go, I did one extract and I knew that all grain. And then I go, look at you jumping in. But you jumped in, dude. You cannonballed into this thing.
Yeah, there's a friend of mine, Randy, who kind of hooked me up and kind of told me, if you're going to make a Hefeweizen, that was going to be my first beer, all grain. He goes, you're going to have to try to do a decoction mash. And I'm like, what is that? So had to research that for a little while. And, oh, boy, it was work. It was fun. And that was my first one. And I've done 4 since.
Jeez. How many decoctions did you do? Like just a single or a double?
No, I just did a single. Hell no. I wasn't going to do anything more than just that.
Have you ever done a double or triple?
No, and I don't think I'll ever even attempt that. It's way too much time.
Oh, it's fun. Set aside a whole day if you ever decide to do it. Yeah.
The decoction that I did with the hef, it took me roughly about 10 hours to do because it's just a slow drain sparge.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That's about. Well, is that slow? Because I know Chris Graham at Homebrew did a double or triple once and it was like 12 hours, so maybe he didn't do a very good job.
It was my first one, so.
Yeah. No, that's good, man.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about this beer. Have you done a Helles before? Is this your first run at it?
This was my first run. In fact, it was his. I wanted to do a lager for my first attempt, and listening to you guys, listening to the Brewing Network, they're talking about Munich Helles. Never had them before.
Yeah.
So I went back to the well of a good buddy of mine, and he goes, well, I got this recipe. I'll share it with you. I'm like, well, thank you. What do I need to do? Another decoction mash. Whoop-de-doo. So it was my first lager and my first attempt. And in fact, using his recipe, it was pretty well put together. At least I thought, but I enjoyed it.
Good. That's awesome, man. Well, let's jump in here and talk to Ted a little bit about his Munich Helles. Lee, why don't you go, man?
All right. So Munich Helles, Pils malt, more Pils malt. Basically, that's what they're about. As I said, Pils malt attenuated, a little bit of supporting hop aroma, supporting bitter. Very nice, kind of derived from the Pilsner style. So that's what you look for in a beer like this. So the main things that come through then in the nose on this were kind of, there was definitely some Pils malt in there. You can't miss that. There's also a bit of a honey and sort of a lime zest cherry fruitiness that was in here. And big kind of yeasty, bready character to it. It seemed a little bit, unfortunately, kind of like some autolyzed yeast or almost a vegetal aroma. That definitely was not entirely welcome in this style. So, I mean, the Pils character was good, but these other issues were not really what we're looking for here. The appearance, it looked pretty good. It poured a nice white foam, which actually persisted pretty well. It's a good pale gold color, but it was fairly hazy, which is another clue that there is a likely issue with this beer. In the flavor, again, the Pils malt flavor was there, medium light, and it was fairly dry. It wasn't too sweet, so it was doing well on that. Had some supporting bitterness, didn't really get any hop flavor. But again, it had that kind of yeasty, kind of autolyzed flavor. Autolysis of yeast is basically they just die and start breaking apart usually. It's usually a sign of unhealthy yeast in the bottle or in the ferment. But it had a lot of this interesting lime zest character. It almost tasted like it had some Sprite from that. I mean, it's lemon lime like you get in a Sprite.
Yeah.
That's how it came across to me. So it was a big fruity flavor from that. And it finished again with the yeasty notes and the zest and fairly, slightly sweet in the finish, not that much. So again, it's got a lot more fruitiness and some of this autolyzed character to it, which wasn't great. Body, actually, the mouthfeel was doing pretty well. Medium body, lightly creamy, which was good. Not hot or warming, not astringent, nothing like that. The carbonation seemed like it might be a bit high, but that's probably a minor thing. But in general, it seemed like a pretty good basic recipe. I mean, it had the Pils malt there. It had the good balance with the hops that you want. So I think that was all right. The issues with this beer had to come down with these yeasty, maybe autolyzed kind of flavors. It seems like there were some ferment issues in this beer. Mostly, if the flavors I'm picking up are any indicator, probably a lot of it had to do with some stress on the yeast. It's underpitched or unhealthy or old or not enough oxygen or not enough nutrients of some kind. Any of those could do it. So I couldn't tell which of those in any way, but definitely there seemed to be something wrong with the yeast, and it just seems to be dying in here. Was this beer bottle conditioned? It looked kind of hazy.
The one that I sent to you guys, I actually bottled up the last remaining out of the keg that I had. So
that was out of a keg.
It was near the bottom of the keg.
Right. Well, it's interesting. I mean, maybe there was some yeast in the bottom of your keg, and that's what's going on here. Because it definitely seemed a little bit hazy.
Yeah, sometimes when you get down to the bottom of that keg and you have this much left in it, and it's been sitting in there for a while, and there's a little cake of yeast at the bottom, and it gets stirred up a little bit and gets in the beer when you transfer it out. So
I definitely had issues with that because every time I pulled a sample off, it was cloudy and hazy, and I couldn't get it to clear up unless I put it in a bottle and let it condition in a bottle for a few weeks, and then it would finally clear up to where it should be. But I have a bottle with me right now that I'm drinking out of, and of course there is a little haze in there. Yeah, and I totally understand what you guys are saying.
You're picking up similar flavors?
I am. I can see where you're saying that 7-Up. That's interesting. Mm-hmm. Kind of a line.
Yeah.
Zest.
No, man, it's Sprite.
Yeah,
Sprite.
Yeah, so that would be my guess. I mean, and it's possible your ferment was fine. When did you make this beer?
I brewed it back in February.
Yeah, I mean, it may just be the little bit of yeast that carried over in your keg has just gone over the hill and has ruined what's left. I mean, maybe you could tell us. I mean, we didn't drink it back in March or April. Would have
well,
been its peak.
It has changed. The profile definitely has changed from the last time I had one, and it's been sitting in a bottle probably since May, I think. Mm-hmm. So it didn't last very long in my house. It went pretty quick when it was freshly made.
If it's good, it will, and it should.
And that zesty taste that you guys are getting. I mean, I didn't pick up any of that when I was first drinking it, so it might have just evolved over time. That's my assumption anyway.
Yeah.
Right. So sorry, I've kind of jumped straight into troubleshooting here over Brian's term.
No, that's fine.
Get Brian in to get his feedback here. He has good feedback too.
No, I agree with a lot of what Lee said there. It did have. I thought I got a little bit of a green apple note in the aroma too, in there with some of the other stuff. But yeah, definitely the yeastiness and a bit vegetal almost too. But yeah, definitely. So it had the low grainy maltiness in there, and. The hop notes were pretty restrained. It's kind of a faint kind of herbal floral thing in there to me, but that haze in the appearance, it had a hint of acetaldehyde in the flavor as well. I thought it just some of these things that the yeast just kicks out at the beginning of fermentation. And if the beer doesn't lager out properly, it can stay in there, but it doesn't seem like that's probably not what happened here. It was just it's something. Maybe it came back out of the yeast. I don't know. Yeah, but no, it did seem like a pretty well crafted brew. It wasn't it wasn't too astringent, or there was a little bit of warming in the mouthfeel I found, but it wasn't intense. It just seemed like a pretty well crafted beer and good ingredients. But that pleasant Pils malt was getting covered up by this kind of the yeasty character. I got also a little bit of a phenolic, like a spicy kind of clove character in there.
Yeah, I got a little of that.
Some of the other things that Lee mentioned. So, yeah, just knowing what we know now, we would say, well, don't pull from the bottom of the keg when you're going to send us a beer, dude. But otherwise, to cure that, you would want to just make sure you're doing a proper lagering and watch your sanitation. If some wild yeast got in there, it could kick some of these flavors out, like we're getting in here too. keep your beer isolated from the outside environment and don't let anything in there other than the intended yeast strain, but perform a little longer lagering. It sounds like maybe you did drink it pretty young too.
Yeah.
But leaving it in that keg in the fridge, it just keeps lagering in there too, and it can get even better. Sometimes you drink that last glass of it out of the keg, and it's like, oh, this is really good beer now. Should have saved more of it. But yeah, thanks for sharing. I gave it a 25 as it is. I suspect this is probably a 30 to 35 point beer or more if it was in prime condition getting to us. So, and we can also blame JP for
sure.
We saw him shaking up all the bottles when we came in here tonight.
I love doing that. I love it.
He just loves to play pranks on us.
Yeah, that's actually I swapped it out for Sprite.
Oh,
joke's on you. Joke's on you, dicks.
Yeah, geez, where do you get Sprite that tastes so much like beer?
You don't want to know.
Yeah. You're right.
That beer flavored mix that you can use when you're camping. You mix with water from the pond.
Just add Sprite, yeah.
There you go. Ted, do you have any questions for the boys?
Well, it was just interesting that just being able to pick up any of that. I don't know if I have any major questions, but it was my first lager, so it was a very fun experiment. I actually ended up doing this again and changing up my recipe from the first go around. Hopefully, with the 4 months of knowledge that I've been able to gain, be able to make a bigger yeast starter than I previously did, which was quite interesting when you guys were talking about that. I did a step up. In fact, I started out with the 1 liter, and then I transferred into a bigger vessel since I didn't have a flask big enough to house it all at once. So I definitely might have picked up some contaminations from that. But hey, it's fun drinking.
Yeah.
There you go.
Keep brewing it. Get yourself a copy of New Brewing Lager Beer by Noonan. And,
that's a good book.
Yeah, he's the daddy.
Well, Ted, what did you change in your recipe?
I actually upped the Pils malt in this just a touch. It started off the original one started off at 1046 and finished off about 1010. And I was trying to get a little bit more into it, so I bumped it up a little bit, and probably about I'd say about a pound worth of Pilsner malt, just a little bit more, just to kind of raise it up a little bit. I've been working at it, trying to get my efficiency to at least consistently be around 70. This go around, as being my first one, it was like 65.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, a little more malt. Well, I mean, this one's probably been overbalanced out by some of these autolysis flavors. But yeah, a little more malt, a touch of malt richness.
And
Helles malt richness is nice in these, just a little bit.
Helles can be pretty light though. I mean, it can start out in the mid 1040s, so it doesn't have to be 5%. If you go much over that, it's gonna just be wrong.
Right.
5.4 is where it ends.
Yeah, but mostly I think the get some healthy yeast in there, and when you rack it over and keg it, make sure you leave as much of it behind as possible.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I didn't do. I ended up just racking it straight into a keg and letting it sit in the keg, so I'm pretty sure there was a healthy amount of yeast in the bottom of that.
Did you lager in the keg?
I did.
Okay, yeah, maybe at the end of the lagering period, it'd be good to just rack it into a fresh keg. Just use some CO2 and
do a keg to keg transfer.
Keg to keg spouts on a line and transfer it over. It's pretty easy to do.
Yeah, no, I've been doing that as well, and I think that's what I thought I was going to do for this go around.
Yeah, and quite often for something like this, if you do that, you might want to put the first pint or two down the drain or something, come out hazy because of all the stuff in the bottom,
right.
And then when you see it starting to run clear, then hook it up to the fresh keg.
So you're telling me I should waste beer instead of drink it?
Oh no, well you can put it in a bucket and drink it too. There's no harm in that, but try not to put it in the keg that you're trying to use to get rid of the yeast.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sorry, I party foul on my part. My apologies.
Don't waste good homebrew. I would drink. Just drink it.
Yeah, you get some yeast ghost going, you'll be fine.
At least give it to the dog.
You can save beer too. Like just put it in your fridge, and if it's got a little yeast in it, just put it in your fridge with a little, seal the top with some Saran wrap or whatever, and let it sit for a day or something, and it'll settle out.
Yeah, just take a straw and just start slurping off the top. And
I can do that.
Bottom. You'll be fine. You sound like a guy who can do that.
I run it through a coffee filter. You can do a lot of
whatever it takes to save the beer, dude.
There you go. That's what I'm all about.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, if you have to, you can even put it through a filter.
Well, yeah. All right, Ted. Thanks, man. I really appreciate you sending some beers in.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right, we'll talk to you later, man.
Keep up the good lagering.
Bye. Yep. Bye.
All right. Cool. So let's do a brief rundown here before we split. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We have to do the grog tag, at least your beer will look good, gift certificate giveaway.
All right.
Which is something that we do from our good friends over at grogtag.com, which are reusable, customizable beer labels, wine labels. They do coasters, metal signs, tasting mats, all sorts of stuff over there. So check them out at grogtag.com. So this is an award. What GrogTag's all about, there's a little snark in their tagline, which is at least your beer will look good, because a lot of homebrew may not taste as good as it could look, and so that's the kind of it's a funny part,
mine.
Right? It helps mine already. Right. So anyway, so this is an award that we give, or gift certificate that we give, a $40 gift certificate to the beer with the lowest score. Just kind of our way to have a little fun with you guys. So who wins? Who's the winner of the GrogTag? At least your beer will look good. $40 gift certificate.
The GrogTag winner tonight is Jeff.
Jeff, nice work, Jeff.
Thank you.
All right, you get. I will email you your gift certificate to you.
That's funny though. What
tomorrow.
What does the other beer get?
The knowledge that they were not the lowest score. And a hearty handshake. Ted, if we ever meet you in public, you get a hearty handshake, bro.
Hearty handshake.
And if you come to the Hop Grenade, Lee will buy you beer.
That's right.
I won't, but Lee will. Okay, so let's get a rundown real quick. So Jeff's beer, he had the Maibock, correct?
Yeah.
And his thing was just check the sanitation, maybe change out some of the plastic bottling stuff.
It might have been a bottling issue because I change those things out pretty often. I do that same method of bottling from a keg, and it's a very effective way to do it. You don't have to go out and buy a fancy beer shooting mechanism. You can do it that way and have pretty good results if you chill your bottles. Make sure everything's completely sanitized, and make sure that plastic equipment is completely clean and sanitized. And any question, just replace it. The damn thing costs $1 or whatever,
Yeah. Replacing a plastic hose or a rubber stopper is way cheaper than a batch of beer.
Right.
So do the sanitation on the bottling equipment and do it on your fermenters and everything downstream of whatever your wort chiller is, including the chiller. Just make sure it is sanitized, cleaned first, and then sanitized. Somewhere that stuff got in. It's unfortunate because it was probably a decent beer otherwise. Yeah, it's definitely a sanitation problem.
All right. And then we also said to maybe drop the care in Munich, or Lee was saying that in his recipe.
Yeah, that's just kind of my purist nature speaking. I would think most of the German breweries would not be doing a 4-malt recipe for something as usually simple as a Maibock. It's usually kind of like a beefed up Helles.
Okay.
But some of them are a little darker. So I'm not saying it's wrong. I just wouldn't use it myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
The Germans would look at you questioningly and say, "Why did you use so many malts in your beer? What is wrong with you?"
Dr. Strange Brian.
Right.
I'm going on very little sleep here, guys.
That's right.
Apologize.
And then with Ted's beer, basically just some proper lagering, maybe check the sanitation and watch all that yeast kick up right from his keg.
Yeah. Don't get too much yeast into the keg you're serving after lagering and letting it sit around. And the other thing about Jeff's is definitely do not let it sit in JP's fridge for 2 months, 3 months or whatever.
Right.
It's been since you mailed it in.
It was in my kitchen. It's fine.
Right. Okay, right next to the stove. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all right.
Ted's for our first lager, he did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, just make sure that yeast you don't get too much of it in the final product, and don't let it sit around and get autolyzed and flavor with yeast. Yeah.
It sounds like he's learned that lesson though, because now he's not just leaving it in the keg. He just transferred it out of fermenter. He's doing some transfers keg to keg, and he's
all over it, dude.
Lagering, transferring, clearing it up,
all that kind of fun stuff. I think we're done.
Okay,
you guys want to split?
Yeah.
Split what? A beer?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Let's split a beer.
Yeah. Well, the Hop Grenades,
one each.
Well, it's not open yet, so I guess they can't legally serve beer. So we got to go to the liquor store and get a beer or something like that.
Liquor store.
What's going on?
Whatever, yeah.
We can walk outside
here.
Go
to JP's house.
Maybe.
Cider.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. It's been Dr. Homebrew. Thanks very much to our sponsor, 5-Star. You can go to 5starchemicals.com. Thanks to GrogTag for the GrogTag. At least your beer will look good. $40 gift certificate that went to Jeff today. And thanks a lot, of course, to Jeff and to Ted for sending us beers. We really, really appreciate it. Obviously, this show could not happen without you. And, of course, it couldn't happen without my ultra-handsome, super machismo-filled co-hosts, Brian and Lee. Thanks, guys, coming all the way out here.
Boy.
All right, we'll see you on Dr. Homebrew next time, everyone.